Vital Paulo Coelho. It is a simple, inescapable truth. Our actions define us far more so than our words. Welcome to yet another episode of Green Plug eCycle UAE. It's all about e-waste management, recycling, and future sustainability of our nation UAE. So, what is e-waste? Yes, it was explained in my previous podcast. I will brief you about it in few words. Electronic waste or e-waste can be defined as discarded electrical or electronic devices as well as used electronics that are destined for refurbishment, reuse, resale, salvage, recycling through material recovery or disposal. As incomes in developing countries rise steadily, so does the buying power of their residents. And as companies come out with ever newer versions of their products, smartphones, laptops, and LED screens, people get into the habit of upgrading their devices every 2 to 3 years. Do we come under this category? Time to think. This has led to a very pressing concern about the proliferation of electronic waste and the need for its proper disposal. Why should it be recycled? A matter of great concern. Why? What for? The major reason why e-waste needs to be properly disposed of is that it usually contains high amounts of toxic materials such as arsenic, mercury, or cadmium. When such waste material is disposed of in landfills, these materials seep into the soil and even the groundwater, causing soil and water pollution. Such harmful materials can thus end up as a hazard to human health. Additionally, e-waste also contains some quantities of rare metals such as gold, silver, platinum, etc. So when such e-waste enters a landfill, these metals are buried and lost. While if recycled, they can be recovered and reused. Thus, proper recycling and disposal of e-waste help conserve the rapidly depleting natural resources. A look at the global and UAE statistics for e-waste. If we take a look at the statistics though, it becomes clear why this has become such a crucial issue. According to the United Nations research, the world produced approximately 50 million tons of e-waste in 2018. Unfortunately, only about 20% of it found its way to being properly recycled and disposed of. The rest of it, yes, 40 million tons went into landfills or was disposed of in informal and unregulated waste. This problem is especially exacerbated in countries with a very high per capita income such as the UAE. On average, a UAE resident generates 17.2 kilograms of e-waste per annum. According to the Global E-Waste Monitor report in the year 2016, the total e-waste generated by the UAE was 134,000 tons, a figure that has only increased in the years after. Along with Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, UAE is one of the biggest generators of e-waste in the region. But the great visionaries of UAE government has recognized this beforehand, yes, years before, and had started taking actions to counter this threat. A larger part of the population is yet to be made aware of this reality. So, what are the measures taken in UAE for awareness and sustainability? Yes, the Masters, the Sustainability Solutions Specialists, we are the organization who tremendously works hard and is successfully outstanding with its unique dedication for sustainability to position the Emirate, Sharjah, as the environmental capital of the Middle East and making Sharjah the first Arab city to reach zero waste landfill, to divert 100% of its waste to recycling and conversion. Joint hands with Shuruk, Gulf Islamic Investments, and Atero Recycling India united to bring electronic waste management and recycling to Sharjah in 2017, 3 years before. It is the first of its kind, starting with its facility in Sharjah. Quoting the words of His Excellency Khalid Al Huraimel here on the momentous collaboration, the great visionary Group CEO of BIA said, "This agreement is a sign of BIA's commitment to collaboration with other international leaders in their respective industries and sectors. Constant technological advancements means that older devices become obsolete at an ever-increasing rate. Therefore, the need for computer and electronic recycling is higher than ever before and will only continue to rise. BIA, Shuruk, and GII with Atero Recycling India are united in the endeavor to meet this demand." These were the words quoted from His Excellency Khalid Al Huraimel on the occasion. This agreement was in line with UAE Vision 2021. The UAE government wants to ensure sustainable development while preserving the environment and to achieve a perfect balance between economic and social development. To combat the threat of e-waste, the UAE government has established the integrated waste management system designed to meet the ambitious goal of diverting 75% of the total municipal solid waste, which includes e-waste, away from landfills by 2021 as per National Agenda of the UAE Vision 2021. The municipalities of the 7 Emirates, including Abu Dhabi and Dubai, are also supporting private organizations that are promoting and managing proper e-waste recycling. For example, in Dubai, the world's largest recycling plant has been built in Dubai Industrial City in partnership with EnviroServe, a global recycling company. The plant has a capacity of processing 39,000 tons of e-waste per year. Similarly, an upcoming facility in Sharjah, which will convert waste to energy and recycle e-waste, is expected to divert almost 3 million tons of solid waste every year from the landfills, which we already know. As evinced by these statistics, the proper management and recycling of e-waste is one of the major challenges we are facing for a sustainable future. There are a number of factors contributing to the rise of e-waste that needs to be addressed, such as the rise of disposable incomes in developing economies, the dearth of organized e-waste management techniques, the absence or inadequacy of local and national policies regarding e-waste disposal, the lack of awareness regarding the importance of e-waste management with its campaign of e-waste collection and recycling. Consistent Engineering Consultants is working to create awareness within the construction sector as well as amongst the general public. During the lead up to the special festive days, e-waste collection boxes were placed at their offices and site locations across UAE. It also received an enthusiastic response from some of the noteworthy architectural and engineering firms as well as from the residents of UAE. The collected e-waste amounting to more than half a ton was handed over to East Prapi Recyclers, a Dubai municipality approved recycling agency. A number of such campaigns being initiated are bringing awareness to the general public regarding e-waste recycling. It is to be hoped that the world can tackle the e-waste problem successfully in the decades to come and embrace a sustainable future. The new report also predicts global e-waste will reach 74 metric tons by 2030, almost double the 2014 figure, fueled by higher electric and electronic consumption rates, shorter life cycles, and limited repair options. In 2019, only 17.4% of e-waste was officially documented as formally collected and recycled. And let's be responsible, committed, and lend a helping hand to our planet. Once out of control, there is no return. Give a second thought before buying. and before throwing. To do that, the UAE Vision 2021 National Agenda focuses on improving the quality of air, preserving water resources, increasing the contribution of clean energy, and implementing green growth plans. Also, the national agenda highlights the importance of infrastructure and aims for the UAE to be among the best in the world in the quality of airports, ports, road infrastructure, and electricity. And leading telecommunications infrastructure will allow the UAE to become a forerunner in the provision of smart services. Finally, seeking to further improve the quality of life of its citizens, the agenda has set a target to provide suitable housing for eligible UAE nationals within a record time frame. At the core of this surge is UAE's Vision 2021 and goal of recycling or reusing 75% of municipal solid waste, which includes e-waste too. Currently, 77% of such waste is dumped in landfills, and the government have introduced draft legislation to help the country achieve its ambitious and worthy objective. It is important to note that increased recycling will probably only account for the reuse of 30% of solid waste. Other contributing factors are likely to include capturing energy from incinerated waste and the introduction of compost plants. There is also a willingness to push for a reduction in the use of non-recyclable items through awareness programs. The legislation introduced to facilitate hitting the Vision 2021 target emphasizes this reduction in non-recyclable items by enabling the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment to prohibit or limit the use of single-use plastics. Recently, the UAE has seen a number of large facilities related to the sustainability sector come online. These facilities are not just important because of their scale, but also because of their sophistication. The separation of lines, streamlined process, and level of automation leads to an excellent throughput, the key metric for material recovery facilities. This excellent article in Recycling Waste World goes into depth on why throughput can be an even more important economic driver than scale in relation to material recovery. Material recovery itself is a crucial part of the recycling process. The government authorities are here promoting the setup of recycling plants with all the safer facilities for e-waste refurbishment and recycling. And there are many countries losing resources, employment, revenue, and prosperity. This robust material recovery infrastructure would allow the UAE to continue down a path that leads to increased material suitable for recycling, benefiting the local environment and economy. Another large-scale project has been an e-waste plant in the largest of its kind in the world. This is particularly relevant as e-waste, primarily mobile phones, household appliances, and computers, is a sector that is growing dramatically and needs specialized solutions. Emirates Environmental Group EEG have indicated that a single thrown-away phone can pollute around 40,000 gallons of groundwater. Imagine! A single phone which we throw away can pollute around 40,000 gallons of groundwater. A single mobile phone, oh no! It's very great a number. One large opportunity in regards to e-waste, but also relevant for all waste, is summarized by the mantra reduce, reuse, recycle. Due to the speed at which new features are added to phones and other electronics, there is a tendency to throw away old products as soon as they develop an issue in recycling or fall behind the technological curve. However, often these products are perfectly usable, and encouraging their safe resale to more cost-conscious consumers 2021 target of 75% of waste not going to landfills, technology alone is not sufficient. It takes a conscious community effort and even consumer activism to reduce unnecessary usage of resources. And that starts with understanding why environmental sustainability matters. Programs such as BIT, which educate children in fun and interactive ways, have a huge impact on this, as do other educational initiatives such as Enviro Care Month. Environmental education is certainly an area where the UAE can become a beacon of change for the region, and indeed can develop waste management processes that improve on what exists elsewhere. In this way, the UAE can take advantage of being a second mover to learn from mistakes made in other parts of the world and build these processes from scratch. This includes a focus on avoiding contamination, mixing hazardous and non-recyclable materials into collections, by optimizing collection points and educating consumers on how to correctly dispose of waste, which I will be discussing with you in my upcoming podcast about the collection points and licensed organizations for e-waste disposal and recycling in UAE. Now, what about the public policy and legislation? The importance of the new law drafted by the UAE government should not be underestimated, as it will create economic incentives to manage waste better and disincentives for businesses to behave in ways that are unsustainable for the country. This legislation has three primary pillars. Let's see. First one allows the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment to ban the import of single-use items or packaging if this waste is environmentally damaging. Next, authorizes the ministry to mandate the reuse of industrial waste by factories if this reuse would be better for the environment than disposal. And number 3, empowers the ministry to create a set of standards for businesses to follow in respect to reducing, recycling, or responsibly disposing of industrial waste. By making it more expensive for businesses to simply throw things away or to import single-use items, the government will create a synergy with the private sector where it is in everyone's interest to implement necessary changes. The UAE has clearly made great strides in recent months and years with a recognition that committing to effective waste management and environmental sustainability is essential for the future of the country. These advancements have coincided with global changes as Chinese policy and consumer activism are pushing the US and other developed economies in the West towards change. The UAE can certainly be at the forefront of this inevitable change as it sweeps the region and it is attacking the problem with a formidable trident of technology, education, and legislation. It is this approach that might enable the UAE to become a center of excellence for the region and to allow it to reap the economic and social benefits of that. This may include the spawning of a web of interrelated businesses such as environmental consultancies and regional head offices of waste management or envirotech companies, so that we can stand up with our heads straight in front of our future and children by handling today effectively as we could. And we have to keep in mind that the world does not belong to us. We belong to Earth. Thank you all for being with me in my beginning steps of my podcast on the way in 2020, and would like to continue with you all in the coming years too. I hope the next years brings you only good luck and great joy. Have a wonderful New Year surrounded by those who mean the world to you. Happy New Year 2021. Have a good one. Thank you all.